to the Dropping Dimes podcast. And here's your host, Jay. Hi, Dimes.
Yes, sir. Welcome back to the Dropping Dimes podcast presented by Yo and Yes. Many thanks also to Snuggle Moments PH for sponsoring this episode. Okay, so for today's episode, we finally have a special request coming from one of our top followers, Keith Segovia. He asked me if I could actually talk about the trend right now of teams hosting their top players and then asking the fans who their favorite player is. Of course, there was one particular team that became kind of controversial because they didn't include a particular future Hall of Famer and the third leading scorer in franchise history. Of course, we're talking about the Denver Nuggets and Carmelo Anthony. So that's what's up for this episode. So for the past few weeks, we've been seeing teams posting on Instagram, on Facebook, on social media in general, their all-time greats, and then they're letting the fans choose who, their favorite players are from those so-called all-time greats. Of course, I've seen the Blazers do it. I've seen the Denver Nuggets do it, and then of course recently I've seen the Orlando Magic doing it as well. I have nothing against it. There's really nothing to talk about really right now. It's the off season. Of course, you still want to stay relevant, so it's good. But of course, there was this one team, of course, the Nuggets. They became controversial because they didn't include Carmelo Anthony, who was the third leading scorer in franchise history. He was before the Nuggets made it to the conference finals this year. He was also the last Denver Nuggets superstar who brought them to the conference finals, right? So, and looking back at Melo's tenure there for around 7.5 seasons, it was very successful, right? Melo made it to the playoffs even during his rookie season. They practically had Carmelo Anthony when he was at his best. And unfortunately, because Melo decided to have that extra year when they signed the extension, he was not able to be part of that, or he ended up not being part of that 2010 batch, right, free agents, and then he ended up forcing a trade to New York, which of course didn't really go well because the media was very much all over that story. So obviously the breakup didn't really end well between Melo and the Nuggets. There was obviously bad blood there. But it's been 9 years, right? I mean, it's been 9 years and it's kind of petty. Why? Because the Nuggets already made it to the Western Conference Finals again. They now have two young stars in Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. I mean, a lot of things already happened. And I think I have nothing against, those if they want to like take a shot at it. But this time, I wasn't really a big fan of the pettiness. I felt like Melo deserves respect. He gave, all. I don't think he ever shortchanged them, and whatever happened with, those, whatever happened with that trade demand shouldn't really like overshadow what he did for those 7 seasons wherein the Nuggets were really winning and Melo was really balling. Look back at Melo's career, those were his best years when he was playing with the Nuggets, right? That was a high octane team, high scoring team. And of course, that was also the time when Melo was able to win, right? He became part of the Redeem team in 2008. He was balling. He was practically one of the top players in the league at that time. In fact, if I would compare his tenure in New York versus his tenure in Denver, I would still choose Denver. So, when it comes to that issue, and given the fact that it's been 9 years, given the fact that the Nuggets are already back to being title contenders, and they have a young core, they have a really good coach in Mike Malone. Maybe it's time to just let it go, man. I mean, Melo deserves his respect as well. I mean, whatever bad blood there was, that was a long time ago already. I even thought that maybe Melo could end his career in Denver. That would be fitting. But then, well, whoever posted that, of course, that doesn't mean that the whole organization is against Carmelo Anthony, right? But man, whoever posted that graphic that didn't include Melo, I hope he could have been better. Because of course it's a bad reflection for the whole organization. Because I just feel like they can be better. That was really kind of petty. I'll be honest, that was kind of below the belt. To think that, Melo practically brought that team back. Denver was coming, when Melo arrived in Denver, they were a year removed from drafting Nene and Nikola Skidishvili, a guy that they never even saw play, but then drafted that guy at number 5. And then when Melo arrived there, they became a perennial playoff contender. They were one of the top teams in the NBA. And if not for the Kobe Bryant-led Lakers, they probably would have even made it to the finals. That was really a very good Denver team, right? They had Chauncey Billups. They had J.R. Smith, Kenyon Martin, Marcus Camby. That was a loaded team. I don't know if the 2009 version already still had Marcus Camby, but I was sure that Kenyon Martin was still there. Right? They had players who could really play. So, I think that's my take there. Regarding that, I think that was kind of petty on Denver's part, or whoever posted that. Melo deserves to be there. He's the 3rd leading scorer in franchise history. He practically revived that franchise. He put it back to where it should be. Denver is has always had a history of playing good basketball ever since. So it was not in a good place before Melo came in there. Then he came in there and they started winning, right? So I hope things will be better. I definitely think Carmelo Anthony is one of the best Denver or one of the best players to ever don the Nuggets jersey, and he deserves it. That guy is a future Hall of Famer. I have much respect for him, mad respect for him, honestly. The way he was able to bounce back this year, in spite of all the doubts, but he came back and he proved to everyone that he can still ball. Now, for some other news, of course, let's not just stay on the topic of the Nuggets. You can also go and check out the others. I actually like, when Orlando posted it. Of course, I would always go with, my all-time Magic player would always be Penny Hardaway. And then, it was interesting to also see the Blazers. I'm a big Brandon Roy fan. Even if he only played for like 5 seasons in the NBA. But when he was healthy, Brandon Roy was a superstar. As much as, with Penny Hardaway, if not for those injuries, those two guys would have really been, first ballot Hall of Famers for sure. The way with Penny was like bigger than life during the mid 90s, right? Like everyone knew Penny Hardaway. And they say, it's just sad, that what could have been, with those two guys, Penny and Brandon Roy. So those are my choices. For the Orlando Magic, I would always go with Penny. For the Blazers, I would always go with Brandon Roy. Just because I just feel like if not for the injuries, they would have been surefire first ballot Hall of Famers. Okay, so those are my takes for the special request of Keith Segovia. Now, it is time to give some shout outs to our followers. Okay, we would like to thank, I would personally like to thank these people because they were really very supportive from the get-go. Of course, my wife, she's running Snuggle Moments PH. It's been very supportive with this venture of mine. Okay, special shout out also to my sister-in-law, Rachel, very supportive. To my aunt, Tamar, very supportive as well. And then some of the people who have liked the Facebook page, who have given their positive comments on the podcast. DJ Valenton, thank you. Benix Tronquillo, thank you as well. Jonathan Laracas, thank you as well. They were like the first ones to really like give support to the podcast. Of course, my buddy, main man Kev's Kevin Cruz. Then so shout out to those guys for supporting the podcast. Okay, so I'll give more shout outs in the next episodes. But again, thank you to all the supporters of the podcast. And I really appreciate it. And there. So I'll see you all on the next episode. Hopefully, we'll have another special request so that we will have something nice to talk about. So again, see you on the next episode. This is the Dropping Dimes podcast.